I'm back, and here we are to talk about design thinking for built environment professionals. I know you're all wondering, wait a minute, I'm a built environment design professional. I'm already a designer. Well, I am a design thinker, and that's actually not the case. The term design thinking is referring to a different kind of design process than is typically used by built environment folks, although many built environment people use design thinking either intuitively or by design. So I'm going to try to lay out what's different about it as best I can and why it's needed for co-creative design processes. I'm going to make the argument that the typical way that a built environment person would design a project, it doesn't lend itself as well to something that maybe a co-creative process might be. So let me take you through the steps here. And you watching this video right now are in step one. Whoops. You are in step one right now. You're doing your research. So everybody does research. The more you can include end users and stakeholders in the research, the better the research will be. I know that can be a challenge in an academic setting, so don't beat yourself up if you can't do that. So your research is going to be multi-scale. You're going to look at multiple time frames. You're going to look at your research through multiple perspectives. If you only conduct the research through your particular lens of the world, you're going to have a problem. You're not going to have as powerful a document as you'd like. I think that we've made that pretty much clear. What we're going to be doing on Thursday, April 20th is step two, which is I call it opportunity definition. Some people call it problem definition or design problem definition. This is essentially the design brief in detail, meaning that it's all of the goals and objectives and what we need to achieve without actually drawing anything. So we're not designing anything on Thursday night, and we're going to work on something called guiding principles. KPI stands for key performance indicators or goals or metrics. We're going to work on that, and I don't have that AIA example, so just pretend you didn't see that. Later on in the semester, you're going to actually use some of the things you did for some co-creative ideation and integration, actual design work. And then finally, how you implement that after the project is built. How does it get implemented? How does it cared for? How does it do that? Now, one of the things that I want you to think about here is that you notice that this looks like a double diamond. And what makes this somewhat unique is this idea that and again, I'm not saying that architects don't do this. I'm saying that we could be more intentional about this. So we expand our research wide and then we narrow it down. And instead of continuing to narrow it down more towards the design, we open it back up to lots of options. We close it up into a few options, and we might open it up again. I use personally what's called the triple diamond approach, where I'll go through these diamonds. I'll keep opening and closing the process as much as I can and keep opening it to stakeholders. In fact, the next slide shows that. So I'm going to walk you through this. Don't be stressed out by this slide. This is a very overly complex diagram of how you might begin to do some co-creation and how you have this opening. And I want to show you where you are in the process right now. You are doing your basic research, right? You're here. And we're going to do this on Thursday. If you were going to do all of this is building or site design or interior design, you can ignore net zero. That's just pretend for me. And so what you see, though, is you see that every time along the way, there are multiple options being generated. And those options are being presented to and or co-created with our stakeholders. So these are things that we're understanding in real time. And we'll just keep going back and forth through that until we get to something that we have that is consensus-based, if we can. That's probably a little more than I wanted to show you today. I kind of apologize if that seems overwhelming. Maybe not. Hope not. But let's go forward. Oh, that is the end of that video. So there wasn't much there other than to think that as built environment design professionals, it's not always about getting closer and closer to the final. That is a good design resolution model. I'm not saying you can't get a good project that way. I'm saying there may be other ways to consider how to get to a good design that is more inclusive, has more equity built into it, and has more potential. Up next is going to be opportunity definition, which is our first exercise we're going to do on Thursday. So I'll stop the video here.